Hi, it's Rachel Stewart with Spend Smart Live Happy, and I'm really excited. Today I'm going to show you how to build and stretch your own canvas. If you're an artist like me, then you know how ridiculously expensive canvas is. So even if you go to like your local craft store, Michael's or Joann's or something like that, say if you want to paint on a large canvas, you want to use a gallery wrapped canvas, which is better quality and just kind of more dramatic, then you're looking at like 60, 70, upwards in the hundreds, over $100 for this canvas. It's really expensive, but with the right tools and knowledge of how to do it, you can actually make it yourself for a fraction of the price. It's a great savings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you today, if you don't have the tools that I'm using, hey, watch my other videos and you might learn some ways that you can save some money and save up for those tools and get them for yourself. A little disclaimer, I am not a contractor. I am not a professional in any way. I just grew up with my dad and he taught me how to work with my hands and do things for myself and use different tools. So if you are more experienced than me and you watch what I do today, maybe you think I do something wrong, so be it. But this is how I do it, and I would encourage you to read your safety manuals of all of your equipment and maybe consult with a professional to know how to do these things safely. I'm just showing you how I do it and how I make my canvas. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna take you out to the garage. Please know that my garage is super messy, but it's the best place for me to work today. And I'm gonna go ahead and just show you everything and we'll get started. So I'm out here in the garage and I'm just gonna show you the assortment of things that I'm gonna be working with today. So, some of the things you're gonna need, once the canvas is actually built, you're going to need to prime the canvas if you purchased unprimed canvas, which I did because it's usually cheaper. So I just buy the gesso, and you will see here, this is from Michael's. It's Artist Loft white acrylic gesso. It's really important that you actually use gesso and not just like an acrylic paint primer, because they're not the same thing. Gesso has a certain ratio of glue and other things inside of it that help the paints adhere and also prevents cracking and yellowing, and it's just going to improve the life of your painting. So I just have this tray here to put the gesso in, some paint stir sticks and a paintbrush. Then I have here an extension cord to plug in my tools. Make sure when you get your extension cord that you have the appropriate size gauge. If you get too small of a gauge extension cord, it's not going to be right for using power tools and could be a safety hazard. So I got the 14 gauge. It's like a medium duty extension cord. Then this is very important. You want to have your safety goggles to be safe. You want to protect your eyes. I've just got some wood screws here. These are a 8 by 1.5 inch. I've got a measuring tape, some wood glue, a pencil to mark on the wood with. I've got a stapler to attach the canvas to the frame, and some staples. Then just got my, here's the drill bit kit. Oh, it was already open. Just got the drill bit kit for the power drill. And then this is when you're assembling the frame, you need this to fix the corners together, the edges, and have it nice and tight. And some pliers to get, you can see here, like on this piece 1x2, there is some staples that were in there, so I've got to take those out. This here, we've got a router. This is what I'm going to be using to use the router on the edges of the frame so that the canvas will just roll over it and you don't have marks on your frame. I'll show you that later. And then here I have my chop saw. So these are all the things I have. You'll notice I've got this board here, and this is what I'm going to be using to use the router on my 1x2s. That's the other thing, is I've got a bunch of 1x2s here. You can see it's just a long piece of wood, and it's really important when you're picking out your wood that you get really, really straight 1x2s. So it might take you a little bit of time at Home Depot or Lowe's, wherever you go, to get the right wood. But if you see here, can you see how it's very straight all the way down? You want to flip the wood just like that and look at all four sides and make sure that there's no bends or curves or you know, big chunks missing out of the wood. You want to get them as straight as possible. This way, when you're working with the wood, you want it to be as straight as possible for stretching your canvas, because if it's warped at all, it's probably gonna create buckles in the canvas. It's not gonna stretch properly, and it's gonna be a waste of your time. So what I'm gonna do first, I'm gonna clear off my workspace, and first I'm going to be taking the router and going along the edges, just one side of all of my 1x2s. And this way it's going to make a nice like curved edge on the one side, so that when I stretch the canvas, it's going to stretch over and lay nicely across the front. And once I have done that to all of them, then I'll get ready to start doing my measurements and cutting.
So now it's time to take the router and apply it to the edges of the 1x2s. And this is what's going to allow the canvas to lay nicely over on the frame without leaving like a rim on the inside where the wood edge is. You don't want that. It doesn't look good when you paint it. So I'm going to take the router. First I'm taking the 1x2 and I'm just resting it up against this other 1x2 that I have fixed. Then I'm going to take my power drill and I'm going to pre-drill a hole so that the screw will go in nicely, and I'm just putting 3 screws, one on the end, one in the middle, and one on the other end, to secure it so that it's safe while I'm using the router, because you don't want it moving around at all. It's not safe. It's not a good idea. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that, and we'll get started. Oh, safety goggles. Okay, so that made a really nice rounded edge there on the side. That's just what you want. That's perfect. It's nice and smooth. FYI, this makes a lot of mess, sawdust everywhere, so make sure you don't want to do this indoors. All right, just going to take those off. I'm going to finish up, and I'm going to do all the other 1x2s that I have, and then I'll show you the next step. So I have finished rounding all of the sides of my wood, and now it's time to start measuring out for the pieces so that we can make the cuts on the chop saw. So the great thing about making your own canvas is that you can do it any size you want. So when you go to the store, you're really limited by certain sizes. There's kind of standard sizes that the canvas comes in. But if you're making it yourself, you can do whatever custom size you want. You can have all kinds of crazy dimensions. Anyways, I think for this first one that I'm going to do, I'm going to do a 24-inch by 32-inch. And so I'm just going to go ahead. I've got my measuring tape, and now the rounded side that you did with your router, that's going to go on the it's going to be on the inside of the frame. So when you're measuring your pieces and you're cutting them, you want to take this into consideration. It's really easy to get tripped up and cut it on the wrong side or the wrong angle, and then you go to assemble your frame and you realize it's not right. Trust me, I've done it many times when I first started making frames, and it's really easy to do. So just sometimes you just kind of lay the pieces out and visualize it before you make your marks and before you cut. So I made my first cut on the end of the wood, at the end of the wood, to get my 45-degree angle. Then I went ahead and I took my measuring tape and I measured 24 inches and marked it with my wood pencil. So I'm going to make the second cut, and you always have to remember too the thickness of the blade. Some chop saws like mine will give you a red line showing you where it's going to cut, which is really helpful. So if you can find a chop saw that has a miter saw that has that feature where it gives you the line so you can see where it's going to exactly where it's going to cut, then you can make sure that you get the right angle. So I'm going to go ahead and make that cut. Then I will cut, after that I will measure out my second 24-inch piece, and then on this strip of wood I'm going to be able to get one of my 32-inch sides, and then I'll have to cut into a second piece.
I have
for that.
finally finished cutting wood. I actually had to stop. I didn't get all my pieces cut because it was starting to get late. It was like almost 8 o'clock, and I do live in an HOA, and I don't want to frustrate all of my neighbors and by making, having a chop saw going after 8 o'clock at night. So anyways, I went ahead and I came inside, and I've got all my wood here. I'm going to assemble the frames tonight, glue them and put the screws in and everything. So I just kind of lined the pieces up as they're supposed to go in a square. You see here I have the center support beam. That's going to go in the middle there. I'm just going to set that off to the side for right now. And I'm going to show you how my corner piece here, my corner bracket, and I'm going to put this down and put both pieces of wood into place. And you want to get it nice and square. Once you get that in place, you can tighten each side a little bit. So I've got this kind of into place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wood glue, and I'm going to run just a little bit of wood glue here. Put that down, put the pieces together, join them nice and square, and tighten the brackets all the way. Really squeezing out, that's good. Okay, I've got those nice and tight. Now I've got my screws. I'm going to switch my drill bit to be able to do pre-drill the hole. So go ahead and take this, and about a third of the way down, I'm going to drill my hole. Okay, now I'm going to pre-drill the hole on the other side, and this time I'm going to go about a third of the way up. I'm going to put my little bit for my screws. I'm going to take a screw, put it right where I pre-drilled my hole. And you want to make sure you get the screw down flush with the wood so that there's not any kind of lip where as the canvas goes over it, that it could tear it. You definitely don't want to go through all the work of stretching the canvas, and you'll see in a minute how kind of laborious that is because you have to go slowly all the way around. And if you snag it on that screw and rip the canvas and you have to take it off and start over, you'll be pissed, trust me. That looks good. I now have a nice, tight, squared corner. This is perfect. This is just what you want. And what you need to do is you just go around, do all 4 corners, and then we'll put in the center support beam. Ready to put the center support in. So what I did is I went ahead and laid it flat and put it down flush with the table so that it's not coming up, so that it's below the level of where the canvas is going to be stretching over. So we don't want to see a beam running down the center. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill my holes and then put in my screws. And then we'll be finished up with the frame and be ready to start stretching the canvas. I have loaded the staple gun, and what I did is I cut the canvas so that it fit perfectly. You want it to overlap just slightly just enough to cover the frame. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be putting staples, like 1 or 2 staples, kind of in the center of each 4 sides. So we're going to go around, and then what you do is you just work your way out. So I'm going to do a couple here, a couple there, there, and there, and then I'm just going to keep rotating around, and every time you staple, you're just pulling the canvas tight. So we're just going to flip this over here, and you don't have to, you just kind of hold it in place at first. Figure out which way you want to fold it over. I think I'll fold it into the frame, the top here. Okay, so just cut away a little bit of the excess and getting it nice and tight. I've stretched it all the way around. And there we have it. Nice top canvas. So all that needs to be done now is need to go ahead and prime the canvas. I'm going to use my gesso, and I'm going to be doing 2 because coats. Otherwise when you go to paint, if you don't have enough gesso on there, enough primer, then it's just going to soak up all your paints. It's going to literally just take like a ton of paint, and you're just wasting your paints at that point. So if you go ahead and just take the extra time to do a couple coats, then you've got a nice solid base that you're going to be able to work with. And you want to try to let them, completely dry in between coats. You want to touch it, make sure it's completely dry. And you can also sand it a little bit in between each coat, just to rough it up. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'll check back in a minute. So it's actually Monday, and I'm just getting a chance to get back to these canvases. And yes, if you were wondering, my hair is completely different than the first half of this video. So I started this on Friday, and I actually went and got my hair done on Sunday, so I look a little bit different in half of the video than the other half. But anyways, what do you guys think? Do you like it? I like it a lot. I had my hair similar to this before when I had a bob, but now it's the same kind of idea but with long hair. So anyways, today we're going to go ahead and finish up these canvases. I'm going to take some sandpaper. I have, let's see, 150 fine grit. If you don't know anything about sandpaper, there's different types of grits, and the smaller the number, the more coarse it is. And in this particular case, like, you don't need, like a 60 grit sandpaper. You can just use like the fine sandpaper, and you're going to be taking it and just lightly sanding all over the canvas and to rough it up a little bit. And then you're going to take a damp cloth or rag and just kind of wipe it down.
Then once it's dry, you can go ahead and put on your second coat of gesso, and that's what I'm gonna do. And you can actually do more than 2 coats of gesso if you want. It's just however much you want to use. Gesso's pretty expensive too, but if you don't have enough coats, like I said, it sucks up all your paint, and that's going to cost you more probably because paints are pretty expensive. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and just get these sanded. So you can see how with like just some tools and a little bit of practice, you can make canvas and you'll save a ton of money. I know on my channel I'm usually talking about like how to make homemade household products or things like that, but this is something you can make that if you enjoy, making art, it's going to save you so much money. Canvas is ridiculously expensive. I applied my second coat of gesso. And so now tomorrow, once they've completely dried, they're going to be all ready to go. And I can go ahead and rough them up a little bit with some sandpaper, wipe them down, and then I can get to painting on them. I'm really excited. I've got this new series that I'm working on, and it's going to be a series of female nudes with a different kind of color theme. It should be pretty interesting. I'm really excited about watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave comments below. And stay tuned for more episodes on how you can save money and get out of debt, live a more frugal lifestyle, and spend money on the things that you really want, not the things you have to spend money on. So, all right, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.